Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Joyride podcast. I'm so happy that you are here with me today listening to today's episode. I do apologize for not having an episode last week. I was very sick, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and it was brutal. I have not been that sick in such a long time, and I really wanted to get a podcast episode up for you guys, but I needed to take those days to get healthy and to basically just get myself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally ready for my New York trip, which I am so excited to be sharing with you guys today. I have so many amazing topics that I want to discuss that I have been holding on to for quite some time, and I'm just gonna dive right into everything. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the element of being uncertain and being uncomfortable with uncertainty, and how we can shift from being uncomfortable with uncertainty to actually becoming really, really comfortable with being certain in being really uncertain. And I know that may not make any sense, but we will go into, all the depths of what that means. So I first want to mention that it is a 9-year, and as or maybe we don't know, this is the year of the snake. So technically this is the year of shedding. This is the year of surrender. This is a year of forgiveness, letting go, closure. Basically, this is a year of really, really big endings. And I definitely have been feeling it all year. I mean, I moved out of Austin after living there for 6.5 years. Well, a little over 6 years. And so much in my life has changed, and in my own opinion, I think I have really navigated through a lot of brutal endings in my life this year. But as we approach these last 2 months, we're now in November. We have, the rest of November and then December, and then we are done with this 9-year, and we are starting at the beginning. So we will be entering a 1 year, which will be 2026. So if you have been feeling, whether it's throughout this entire year or you've been feeling over the past few months, a lot of anxiety and stress and uncertainty, and it's almost like every day you're searching for clarity and it just is not coming, I just want you to know that you are not alone. I have been feeling so much of this energy myself. I think at the beginning of this year, I was moving through just so much, and I was clearing out a lot of my old desires, and in doing so I was making a lot of headway for these new desires to come in. And I thought, okay, this is where I'm moving, this is where I'm going, this is what it's going to happen. And I'm actually sitting in a space right now, I like to call it my bridge. Like, where I'm at in my life right now is the bridge to get me to where I'm going next. And I thought that I had a very, very clear sense of where I was going and how I was going to get there. And I do, in a sense, and it's not like I'm letting that go entirely, but, I will say, from now being here in North Carolina for a few months, I moved in August and it's now November, I have been able to create such a new sense for myself of what it means to actually surrender in your life, and to develop this new trust and this new faith in God and in the universe. Because I was someone, and maybe you can relate to this, I definitely was a perfectionist, and I still am a perfectionist in a lot of ways, and I think it's just who I will forever be as a person. I mean, I'm a Virgo, like hello. And I was notorious for being a control freak and gripping onto things and wanting things to go a very certain way. And I found that when things didn't go a certain way, I was really disappointed, and that light was reflected back onto me. What did I do wrong? Why is this not working out? Like, where did I go wrong? What do I have to do in order for things to go right. And it was a lot of pressure that I was putting on myself. And so I think, being here now in this place in my life where I am surrendering in so many new ways that are both new and foreign to me. But it's exciting because I, for the last few years, have had these goals and I've had this vision. And now, because we're in the 9 year, the year of the snake, I have done so much shedding. I'm like, okay, there are new things that I want for myself, and I actually don't know how they're going to happen. And I was having a conversation with one of my best friends the other month, and she was saying, I feel that same way. She has, really powerful goals and dreams and desires, and so do her clients and the people in her network and her friends. But a lot of us are sitting in this energy of like, how in the fuck are we going to get there? And I know that is so hard to deal with on the daily because, you can probably relate to this if you're my age, if you're in your, early 30s, or maybe even if you're in your late 30s. Like I, have these conversations with my parents, and, they come from a very different generation and they are wired very differently than I am. So, they're, in their eyes, progress and success looks very different from my progress and success. And I think, a lot of the world can, a lot of the world is just simply interested in what we have going on. That's also something that I've learned. I have found myself being really defensive in the past when it comes to people just simply being curious about what's going on in my life and how am I going to make this happen. But I think once you start to understand for your own self and become okay with, I want these things, and yes, I'm putting in the effort and I'm showing up, but I actually don't know how it's going to happen. For instance, like my dad will always ask me, because I'm really serious about finding a partner, having a partner in my life. I'm so ready for that. I've been doing so much work around making the space for a partner, calling in a partner, showing up in the ways that I am able to show up and put effort in, basically. And my dad is like, so what are you doing to find a partner? And I'm explaining, what I'm doing. But I think to him, it doesn't really make sense because it's not like I'm going on 4 dates a week and it's a numbers game. But there are so many other, action steps that I am taking that make sense for me in order for me to call in and attract a partner. So I know that it can get really frustrating and really confusing when you are someone who goes about things very differently from someone else. I'm sure that we all have friends who have followed the linear path and they go from point A to point B to point C to point D, whether that's they get the job and then they get the husband and then they get married and then they have the kids, and everything seems to work in a very linear fashion, which, let me just say, if that is you listening to this and that has been your experience and you feel like you are fulfilled and this is your authentic path, kudos to you. That is amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've sat back and I'm like, my life would be so much easier if I was someone that could follow that linear path, but I just so happen to not be that type of person. And it's been hard over the years. Like, I will be very transparent. It's been really hard, even though I love who I am to my core and I've gotten to know myself on, such deep levels, but it is hard sometimes when I'm like, oh, I know what could solve this problem. I could get a 9-to-5 job and make X amount of money and then I would be good. That would be the easy way. And I think sometimes it's hard for us to distinguish, is the easy way actually the right way? Because I think also we're in this time period where a lot of women are like, soft life and easy life and this and that. And like, hell yeah, I'm all about the soft life and the easy life. But I also think in order to get there, like, you got to put in some effort and you got to get your hands dirty. Like, I would say that most people that I look up to and most people that I aspire to be like have put in a lot of effort over time. But I also have witnessed women who have experienced that soft and that easy life without having gone through a lot, or maybe a lot that I know about. That's another key factor here. I think sometimes we can forget that everyone is truly on their own path and everyone puts an effort in different ways. So maybe you're someone who has dealt with a lot of challenges around your health, but you have a friend who's dealt with a lot of challenges around partnership and relationships. And you know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we can easily turn a blind eye. Is that the saying? Or, we easily just kind of forget that everyone goes through struggles and goes through challenges in very different ways. And sometimes we can get a little jealous of people and what they have. Oh, this person has the dream relationship. Oh, they're making so much money. Oh, they have the dream job. Oh, they have the dream house and the dream this and the dream that. But we don't really know what happens behind closed doors, and we don't know exactly what they are struggling with. And we don't know in what ways in their life they are struggling with uncertainty, because uncertainty is something that every single person in life deals with. I believe if you are someone that wants something, and if you are someone that cares about something, which is pretty much everyone on this earth, right? Like, you don't have to, care about the same things that I care about, but if you deeply care about someone or something, or your life looking a certain way, you are probably at some point going to deal with some type of anxiety or stress around uncertainty. So again, coming back to the fact that this is a 9-year, I almost want to give you like a forecast and what you can expect. And granted, I'm just going off of my intuitive knowledge and what I have been, research and feeling myself, and just the energy that is coming forward for me. But I really do believe that these next 2 months are going to be a very, very pivotal time for us. And this is more so not a warning message in any way, but more so just like, I want to reaffirm you that if you are someone that is in this state, wherever you are at in your journey or in your path, and it just feels really foggy and it feels really cloudy, and you may know specifics around things that you want, but you also don't have a lot of clarity around how to get there, I just want to tell you that that is okay. And I know that the answers will be revealed very, very soon. I don't know how they are going to be revealed. And obviously, the way that clarity comes through is so different for every single one of us. But allowing yourself to just be in this space that you are in right now, and to not say, it's not like I'm telling you, throw in the towel, give up, just like, okay, God, it's up to you, and I'm just going to like sit back and relax and wait for you to make a move. That's not what I'm telling you to do, because trust me, I was kind of sitting in that energy for the past few months. I got to this point where I was like, fuck this, I'm throwing in the towel. A man can come and save me and change my life. And then I realized that's not really me, and that actually doesn't feel good to like totally be giving away my power. I think we have to acknowledge that we can love where we're at in the present moment, and we can have presence, and we can have gratitude, and we can express how grateful we are and how thankful we are for the space that we are in right now, and also want more, and also know that more is coming, but I may not know exactly how I'm going to get that more right here, right now, and really being okay with that, because it's a lot of pressure, you guys, for every day to, just work our bodies and work our systems so hard to try to figure everything out. And yes, we are all so powerful and so intelligent, but the answers really do reveal themselves when they need to be revealed. And this is a statement that my mentor brought up to me the other week when she was sending me a voice note. She said, we all have our bigger purpose in life, but we also have current purposes that we need to work towards. And that really struck a chord with me. And I was thinking about my own journey and how sometimes I get a little too fixated on the bigger purpose. I have to move forward with this. I have to continue to do this. I have to continue to do that. But I think if we know deep down inside what our bigger purpose is, like, I am very, very clear on what my bigger purpose is. And I know that will continue to expand. And I know that will continue to I guess, like grow in depth over the years as I become a partner and as I become a mother, and my life just gets richer in so many different ways. And as I build a home and establish new roots, and you know what I'm saying. But I think sometimes we can get a little lost in that bigger purpose and forget that we go through these phases in life where we need to really focus on what our purpose is right here, right now. I mean, I am learning so much about myself living here in North Carolina, living with my parents, being surrounded by family for the first time in a really long time. And I'm learning so many new skills that I know are benefiting me because I'm learning so much about how to become a partner and how to show up as this new woman in this next phase of my life. So for these next 2 months, I really want you to focus on, one, being present for wherever you are at in your life. And this is the time, I believe, during Scorpio season and as we enter into Sagittarius season, I know that the fire is going to start to build at the end of the year, which it always really does when we're ending a year, even though a lot of people energetically don't really feel connected to the January New Year because it's in the dead of winter. But I think the energy is going to feel so different this year because it's a 9-year as we enter into this 1 year, which symbolizes new beginnings and fresh starts and just really the beginning of an entirely new story. I mean, we are closing a 9-year cycle, which is a really big fucking deal. So over the next 2 months, do a lot of reflecting, do a lot of just sitting with yourself and asking yourself those questions, whether it's, okay, I know where I want to go, but I don't need to get into the weeds and I don't need to get into the details and how I want to go there, but really just allowing yourself to sit in that space. And I almost like to see it as marinating. Like, there are so many things that I know come the top of the year, there's going to be a fire that's lit under my ass. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to make some moves. I'm ready to set some, new deadlines for myself and really make things happen. Especially for myself, I know that I want to move out of North Carolina, but I don't know the exact timeline of it. I know that in many ways my soul is ready to move on, but I'm also really enjoying the slowness and I'm really enjoying just so many aspects of my lifestyle, and I don't want to rush anything. And I think that's so important to remember. Yes, we can strive for more. Yes, we can want more, but there's no need to rush anything because anything that's good in your life takes time, and it also takes patience in order to get there. So over the next few months, take this time to sit with yourself and reflect on obviously the year that has transpired, but also just giving yourself the time and space to allow that clarity to come through, because it is just so not fun to rush clarity. I'm still working through not being that person that will lay in bed and is like, okay, let's figure it all out in our heads, because that just doesn't happen. I mean, I get my most divine moments of clarity when I'm doing, a visualization practice, or I'm on a walk, or I'm on a trip, or it's like I don't really plan for the clarity to come through, and that's when the clarity comes through. So taking these next few months to allow yourself to really sit in this space and not feel rushed and not feel like I need to have this exact plan and I need to know exactly how it's going to happen. I think it's better to focus on the effort. Focus on, how can I show up for myself? How can I show up for this version of myself and who I am right now? But also think about that person that I'm becoming. And by putting in the action, by making those steps, those small steps every single day, just know that your effort really is seen. That's something that I have been holding so close to my heart over the past few months. I really suffered, you guys, the past few years. I was really cynical in a lot of ways, and I felt really heartbroken and really disappointed in God and the universe because I was putting effort towards things and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And that actually came up very strongly for me this morning. I was doing a To Be Magnetic Deep Imagining, which if you don't know about to be magnetic, oh my God, it truly is such a life-changing practice. And every time I do a deep imagining, something profound comes through for me. And so I'm really dedicating these next 2 months to being really disciplined and really diligent about doing to be magnetic, because what has come through for me has been so astounding. By the way, my laptop is on Do Not Disturb, so I'm sorry if you're hearing these dings from texts. I don't know why you're hearing the dings, so hopefully they'll stop. But what came through this morning was me just admitting to myself, God, I am scared. I am scared because I think in my 20s I did so many things and I tried so many things, and some things worked, but a lot of things didn't. And so I've been kind of not battling myself with this, but it's been this inner dialogue with myself. Like, do I not trust myself? Do I not trust what I'm feeling? Do I not trust what I think? And I think I've come to the conclusion that I do really trust who I am and what I'm feeling. But I've also realized that there have been so many moments that I've experienced over the past few years where things haven't worked out the way that I thought, or I didn't get the results that I had wanted so badly, that I was manifesting so hard about and, putting in as much effort as I could, and I still didn't get the results that I wanted. And so it's left me scared, and it's left me heartbroken in a lot of ways, and it's left me really confused. And to be able to admit that to myself, like, hey, I'm scared because in the past there are things that I've worked towards and you haven't given me those things. And, there are so many things that haven't worked out that I'm so incredibly grateful why they haven't worked out. But there are also things that I'm still working towards that are still not clear to me. And I think if we can sit here and own how we feel about those things that haven't worked out, and ask the creator and ask God and ask the universe to change us so that we are someone that does believe and does have faith even when things don't work out, I think that we will all become so much more comfortable with being surrounded by so much uncertainty. Because I don't know about you, but I am just not the person that aims to have this life where everything is spelled out for me. And some days I'm like, oh my God, my life would be so much easier if I just had the answers. And I know that everyone feels that way, but I am just so not a linear type of girl where I move from point A to point B to point C to point D, which a lot of people are, because that makes them feel comfortable and that makes them feel safe. And that is totally fine. But you know what? Where is the magic in that? Like, when you can become comfortable with having so much uncertainty around you, yet still show up in your life and still adopt this unwavering sense of belief and faith that, you know what? The best case scenario is going to work out for me. That is going to help you so much when you are navigating the fog and when you are navigating these seasons and these phases of your life where so much is unclear to you. And what's unclear is how you're going to get from point A to point B. And so after I got done with this deep imagining this morning and I was journaling about it, it was such a nice sense of relief to admit that to myself, to admit, you know what? I have such a strong connection with myself, and maybe I don't have that strong of a connection as I thought with my faith in God and with my faith in the universe. I do have faith, but if I'm still sitting here like, listen, you have not been working in my favor and that is not okay, I want to change, and I want to be that person that has this unwavering sense of belief and faith and is able to surrender and is able to know that I'm going to continue to show up and I'm going to put in effort. And I may not always know if it's the right thing, because you know what? If you always knew that it was the right thing, there would be no sense of, again, magic in your life, but no sense of wisdom and no point in growth and development and reflecting on certain experiences in life if we knew all the steps and if we knew all the answers. But if we can continue to show up and put effort in and not get so fixated on, is this the right way? what happens if I do this and it doesn't work? I think all of us, if you were listening to this podcast, we want more for ourselves. We want more for our life. And that is going to look very different from the traditional routes that we have seen a lot of people take, whether that is our parents, our friends, our coworkers. We are surrounded by people who are very comfortable with what they have. Again, not a bad thing, but I think you want more for yourself, and I think you want more from your life. So if you are able to take that time and space over the next few months to admit some things to yourself that maybe you're scared of admitting, I promise you it is going to help you change, and it is going to help you adopt a new belief system and adopt new ways of looking at things. And really, that's all that it comes down to. It all comes down to our beliefs. It all comes down to the way that we think, the way that we act, the way that we show up. It really all comes down to us. And I know that sometimes we want to say, oh, well, this person, and oh, it didn't work out because of them. We can't do that. We can't continue to do that. We have to be accountable for ourselves, but we also need to really understand that we are not in control here. We can control how we show up, and we can control the level of effort that we put into anything, but we can't pretend to play God. We can't, because we just don't have that power. We are so powerful as individuals, but we can't play God, and we can't control the outcomes. But we can control our effort, and we can control how we are choosing to show up and who we choose to become, as we navigate these new spaces in our life. So that is how I'm feeling about ending this year as we enter into the 1 year. And I'm personally really excited to take this time over the next 2 months to just gain more clues. That's it almost feels like I'm playing a scavenger hunt, and with each week that passes, I'm getting more clarity on my next steps and how I'm taking those next steps, and not putting this timer on myself, where I have to figure it out in 2 weeks and I have to figure it all out before the beginning of the year, because that's just too much pressure, and I just don't think that things work well, when you are making these huge life changes. Okay, now I want to share about my New York trip. So I have been manifesting this trip for some time. I kind of hit this point at the beginning of October where I was like, okay, I think I need a trip. I think I need to get the hell out of here. And I think I need to hang out with some of my friends, because even though I have been taking my sweet time to get adjusted to life here, and I've been really enjoying spending time with my parents and just, again, the slowness of my new lifestyle, it is so different from what I am really used to, which is always being surrounded by community and friendships and energy and all of that. So I booked a very last minute trip to visit my best friend and her husband, who's also one of my best friends. They live in Brooklyn, New York, and the trip was truly magical. It was so amazing, and it filled me up in so many ways. I knew that the trip was going to be incredible, because one, I'm seeing my best friends that I haven't seen in over a year, and I'm going to be in New York, and it's going to be fall time, and it's just going to be magical. So I just knew coming into the weekend that it was going to be a really, really good weekend. But there were so many just serendipitous pings from the universe that happened over the weekend that were so cool. And I know that they happened because I just was almost I almost had a reunion with myself. That's kind of what it felt like. I really came back to life, and I left New York feeling like I have my fire again, and I have my spark back, and I have this new sense of energy to go after the things that I want, and I feel motivated again, and I feel excited again, and I'm excited to, start to plan and start to dream and start to really make some moves on how I'm getting to my next destination, even though I'm still sitting in this energy of I don't know how that's going to happen. But just to have that energy back, and just to be connected with those feelings again that I have been missing for so long, that have really felt dormant, felt so fucking good. And I felt so free. And I realized in that trip, connection and friendship and being in a city or being in an area with energy that makes you feel alive, where you're surrounded by people who are really going after things. I realized that that is just a part of my authentic code, and that is something that I truly do need for myself. I have always known that I've been very, very sensitive to energy, yes, but really, really sensitive to my environments. So being here in North Carolina, where I'm surrounded by, a lot of older people and my family and people who, I don't want to make this blanket statement and say that like no one's going after things, because that's so not the case. Like obviously people have jobs here, and I've met a ton of entrepreneurs and, people who have their own businesses and stuff. But if you've lived in a city, like a vibrant city, you just know the difference. If you've lived in a city versus living in suburbia, it is a totally different feel, and it's a totally different energy. And I realized how much I miss that, and really how much I need it for myself, because it's just really hard for me to gather up all of that energy on my own. Like, yes, I have my moments where I feel so lit up and I feel so excited, and I have so many different things that I pour my energy into. This podcast, my Substack, my coaching, being on social media, doing more like influencer like things. I'm doing all these things, but I am not afraid to admit that it just feels like a lot all the time. It's a lot on me, because it's just a team of one, and it feels very overwhelming. And I do really miss being surrounded by people who just almost like egg me on in the best way and like give me that sense of motivation. It's very different when it's coming from your parents, obviously, or not obviously, but hopefully, you have parents that are loving and supportive and just want the best for you. I think, most parents feel that way towards their kids. My parents definitely feel that way, but they just don't get it. And they just don't want to be surrounded by the energy, and they don't care about being in a city like that. And it's so different. So over the weekend, I truly just felt so excited to have that energy back and to spend such good quality time with people who really see me, really support me, and just give me the space to be me. Like, I have been doing so much reflecting after the New York trip, because I was on such a high, and I know for myself, I can get really fixated on doing a million different things every single day to make myself feel good. I think at the end of the day, we forget that we all want the same things. We want love, we want peace, we want joy, we want to feel like we are contributing. Whether that's, you feel fulfilled from your job, or you feel like you're adding value, like we all want the same things. And for me, I can get really caught up in all of my wellness, spiritual things, whether it's like I have to do this breath work, I have to do this meditation, I have to take these supplements, I have to go on my vibration plate, I have to take a walk, I have to go to the gym. Like, it really can be all consuming. And I've gone through so many phases of my journey where I really felt like if I didn't get these 20 things done every single day, well, then I just can't operate, and I'm just not going to be a good coach, and I'm not going to show up the way that I want to show up. I love all of these habits and practices and rituals, and, I feel like sometimes I'm like, fuck this, I don't need that stuff. I don't need to go to the gym. I can take time off. I can do this. And then, I always come back around, because the stuff really does make me feel good. But you know what the best feeling in the world is? Just being around your people. Being around your people who make you feel seen and safe and give you the space to be you. And it's kind of cool when I go on these trips, when I'm with my friends, whether it's I'm staying in their home or we're traveling somewhere together, and I don't have access to all my things. I don't have access to my vibration plate, and I'm not doing, a meditation every day, and I'm not journaling every day, but I'm sitting with them and I'm present, and I'm having these conversations that make me laugh, and, I'm able to just be me. And that's what it's about. That is what it is about. And so I left the trip feeling so lit up, and I felt so fucking good. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to obviously abandon all of the things that I do every day to feel good, because, I'm not living in my ideal environment to feel that way. But this is really, really important, and I need to have access to this more. And I'm just not quite ready yet to live this suburban life where things are slow and everything is safe. And, I'm just not ready for that yet. I need the connection. I need that energy that a city gives me. I need variety. I need access to what I have access to. And I think, taking trips, it's such a portal because you're able to access these parts of yourself that maybe are dormant in your everyday life. And I think if you go into a trip with this intention of just like, I'm going to show up as my best self with the circumstances that I do have and not get so fixated on the food and the sleep and the this and the that. And I'm sure there are people listening to this that are like, what do you mean? I go on vacation. It's like, I just throw in the towel on everything and I'm here to be on vacation. But I think for a lot of us, we do want to keep up with a lot of our daily routines and, we do want to feel good. I mean, I do really respect myself for how much time and effort I do put into feeling good every single day, but you can't let all of those things get in the way of you actually feeling good, because sometimes it really doesn't take that much to feel good. And I think you'll surprise yourself with how good you do feel when you come home from a trip and you're like, oh my gosh, I realize that I actually don't want this job, or I actually do want to move here, or I don't feel comfortable with this person in my life anymore, or this relationship is not serving me. When you're able to put yourself in a new environment and take yourself out of your everyday where things can get very monotonous and, we're just doing the same stuff every single day. It's so refreshing to have that new energy in your life. And so that's exactly what I experienced in New York, and so many cool things happen. I actually ran into Melissa Wood Tepperberg, who, if you know, MWH, like she's a fucking icon, and Jenna Zoe, who is the founder of My Human Design. I've mentioned both Jenna and Melissa several times on this podcast. I ran into them at Happier Grocer in Soho on Friday afternoon. And right before that, I was in a hotel with my friend Casey, and I was telling her, it's been a few months, obviously, since I moved out of Austin, and I really miss, doing these in-person events. I mean, I was doing events at the Soho House in Austin, and then I was taking some trips to do events at other Soho houses and connecting with members and connecting with like-minded people, and just the sense of community, doing workshops for establishments in Austin, and, really being in my gifts, not just online and not just through coaching, but by connecting with people and getting to know them. And I was just telling her how much I miss it. And, I'm really appreciative of what this time in my life is giving me, because I have been doing so much reflecting, and in no way, shape, or form do I feel like that part of my life is over. I think if anything, because I'm not really doing much of it anymore, it's made me really long for it. It's made me so much more appreciative and grateful for all those experiences that I did have. And I'm so excited to be doing those again when it's the right time and when it's the right space. So I was just telling her that, and then we walk into Happier Grocer, and immediately I recognize Jenna Zoe, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, that's Jenna Zoe. And I couldn't really tell who was next to her, but I was thinking it was Melissa, because I know that they're very close, and I just recognize what Melissa looks like. So I turned to my friend Casey, and I'm like, do I say something? I feel like I have to say something. And she was like, you have to say something. I mean, I am just not that girl who is going to sit here and whisper to my best friend when my idols are sitting right in front of me. That's just like not who I am. And I have met so many really cool people over the past few years living in Austin, people that I've looked up to for years. And I've had conversations with them, anywhere from a 20-minute conversation to a 3-hour conversation with some of these people. And I've realized that these people are just regular humans who are just going after their dreams, and they're going after their goals. And if they have made a significant impact on me and in my life, I really feel like it's my duty to tell them. And I really feel like I need to say something to them. So I went up to them, I introduced myself, I told them both how much I love them and how much each of them has changed my life. And I mentioned, how much of an inspiration Melissa is to me in every single way. And to Jenna, I said, I'm a life coach and I utilize human design in my work. And, I will never forget the day that I found out about who you are and what human design was. And it was a very short and brief conversation, but you could tell that they were both moved by it, and they gave me, their time and attention, which I just so deeply appreciated. And I gave them a hug, and it was the best feeling. And I walked out of there and I immediately started crying, and I was like, that was God. That was God placing these two people out of all the people that I could have run into in New York. Like, the fact that it was Jenna and Melissa, two people who are at the very top of my totem pole. I just needed that sign, and I needed to be reaffirmed to God. I think over the past few months, it has been really hard for me to let go and surrender to not having the access to certain parts of myself that I know that I'm capable of being, because I'm in such a different space in my life right now. And it's hard for us when we feel like we are abandoning ourselves, or, let's say you're in a 2-year-long relationship, and then you get out of that relationship, and then now you're like, well, who am I? Like, so much of your identity is no longer who you are. And that's a really hard space to navigate. And I think sometimes we can get so caught up in, well, I'm never going to be in a relationship again. Or to me, I'm like, well, am I ever going to speak again? Am I ever going to do these events again? And seeing them reminded me, like, this is a part of who I am, and it's not going anywhere. And yes, maybe things have slowed down, but they have slowed down because I needed them to slow down. Again, going back to this idea of, we have this bigger purpose in life, but also we have current purposes that it's like a garden, and we need to tend to them. And if we don't tend to them, then it's not going to be good for us in the long term. I think that's something that I've been really connecting to lately. I can't outrun this phase of my life, and I can't just bypass it. And I can't just say, well, I'm ready and I'm done and I'm ready to move to Miami and live my best life and all that. No, I really needed this bridge, and I really needed this space to heal and settle my nervous system and spend some time with family and spend time not doing all of the stuff that I used to do, so that I can change my beliefs and change my habits and really make progress in other areas of my life, so that when the time does come for me to move and for me to, like, really connect with those parts of myself that I haven't been for a long time, I'm me, but I'm so much better, and I'm so much stronger, and I've gained so much more wisdom, and I'm able to show up and really now believe that, I'm going to show up and put in effort, and things are going to work out for me, and not feel super rocky about, should I put in effort? Is this the way to go? What should I be doing? So having that interaction truly was everything and more. And I mean, it's crazy, because in what world would I have gone into the weekend thinking I'm going to run into Melissa and Jenna? Like, that didn't even cross my mind. It didn't even cross my mind, that I was going to meet anyone influential. Obviously, I know that there are a ton of, well-known people in my circle and people that I look up to that live in New York. But I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on, I'm so excited to see my best friends and hang out with them and have a gorgeous, amazing time in New York during the fall. That's what I was focused on. And I left truly feeling so lit up. It has been making me so emotional for the past week, because I truly do feel like, God, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for giving me so many signs over the weekend. I just got so many, again, incredible pings and serendipitous moments, and just like things that I think the normal person may take for granted, like things that I got for free, or like random payments coming in, or random opportunities coming to me. Just so cool. We can get so, again, like lost in the everyday magic. And a practice that I've done this before, but I'm being really diligent and really good about it, is keeping a note on my phone of everyday pings. So whether that's, oh my gosh, I was thinking about this person and they called me, or I saw a random 888, or I just got sent $150 for this, or I got this email back that I've been waiting to receive for X amount of months. I think that this is such a life-changing practice because it really makes you stop and smell the roses. And it really makes you appreciate the little things that you totally didn't ask for and you didn't focus on, but they just almost seamlessly came into your life. So I've been really, really loving doing that practice every single day and reminding myself at the end of the day, like, okay, what did I experience? What happened to me? Even if it's nothing crazy, but maybe it's like, oh, you're flying somewhere and your suitcase came out and you didn't have to wait any time at all. Like, write that stuff down, because it truly is, like, life is just all about the simple things and the small things, and the small and simple things add up to the big things. So when you do have those experiences where you meet Jenna and Melissa, like me, you're like, oh my God, okay, everything that I've been doing is paying off and all of my effort is being rewarded and I'm being seen. And because of this, I will continue to show up. And thank you so much for giving me this sign, because now I feel like, okay, I am ready to take charge again. And I'm ready to steer my ship where I want it to go. And I just think that it is so important to give ourselves the permission to go on the trip, to spend a little extra money, to sit in the space and not know where we're going next. Like, really give ourselves the permission to believe in ourselves and believe in what we're feeling, and to trust that there are always going to be signs and we will always have access to the signposts that are leading us to where we need to go. And to not be so focused on, I need to wake up every single day and I need to know the answers, because the answers will be revealed to you when they need to be revealed. But that cannot stop you from putting in the effort, from becoming really comfortable with navigating life with a lot of uncertainty and falling in love with what happens along the way. Like I said, I am truly really excited for what plays out for the rest of the year. And it does feel like with each day that passes, especially now that I've had this New York trip, and I feel so lit up in so many ways that I just really needed, I am excited to take the time and space to continue to show up, continue to put in effort, and to let the answers be revealed to me and not feel like I have to know everything in this moment, and to let myself be continuously surprised by what shows up for me, because what we need will show up for us. So that is the end of today's episode. I hope that you feel a little liberated and you feel like, okay, I'm ready to take on these next 2 months as we approach the new year, which is so fucking wild. I also do want to mention that my Substack is up and running. I am posting more than weekly posts. I'm posting on average like 2 posts a week. And I'm so excited about this platform. I'm so excited for all of the information that I'm sharing. Every week I'm sharing human design knowledge, astrological knowledge, things about Kabbalah and spirituality, but also all about my wellness lifestyle and my habits and my practices and my rituals and things that I'm loving, and beauty, and just everything that I'm moving through and navigating through, and sharing all of my knowledge and all of my expertise with you. So go check out my Substack. I have a lot of free posts that are available to you. I will, of course, leave all the information down below. I also have a few coaching spots open for women specifically in their 20s and early 30s that are in need of guidance and support as they navigate, their next up level, their next changes in their life. I am really excited about the space that I do now have in my life to be guiding you all on this journey. So if you are interested in that, I will, again, leave the information down below. And of course, I always have individual sessions. If you are looking to get your human design chart read, if you are looking to gain clarity around a specific aspect in your life, I always have breakthrough sessions available. Those are always available, but I'm really, really excited about the women who come across my work and are interested in those coaching spots, because they are very limited, and I'm really excited to work with people now. I think a lot of people can easily just say like, fuck it, I'm going to wait until the new year to start working towards my goals. But if we have learned anything, people, it's like, you can't wait for January 1st. Life doesn't work like that. It's up to you to decide when you're willing to show up and put in the time and effort. And again, I don't think you need to be in this position where you need to know exactly what it is that you want and, okay, I have everything figured out. A lot of times we don't have everything figured out, but what's most important is to have people in our corner that help us get to where we're going next. And I would love to be that source of guidance and support for you. So all of my information can be left down below. Thank you again for listening to this podcast, for being an avid listener and subscriber. And I'm excited to be back after this little break. I promise it won't be that long next time. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week. I love you so much. And stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.